It's time for the Sports Blitz, the only live-streamed local sports show in Arkansas, with all the latest on the sports stories that matter to you.
Welcome into the Sports Blitz on a Wednesday here in the Cogswell Motors Studios with Weldon Braxton and Maddie Lassiter. I'm Mark Freeman. What's going on? Going to talk a lot of local, state, national sports today. Want you to get involved. You can give us a call at 968-NEWS. That's 968-6397. Anytime between now and noon, you can be a part of the show. We're going to talk World Cup. Yes, we are still talking soccer. For the next couple weeks, we're going to be talking soccer. Unless the U.S. gets knocked out tomorrow, and then we'll talk a whole lot less soccer. We want to know what your thoughts are on the World Cup. Are you interested because the U.S. is in it? I saw Cloyd Rivers tweeted this morning that somebody asked him why he was paying attention to the World Cup. He said he shin kicked him and said, because if the U.S. had a hopscotch team, I'd pay attention to that. Oh, Lord. It's the USA, man. It's the fact that we can root on our country. I think that's what causes people to pay attention, and the U.S. having a chance to move on through to the round of 16, it matters to people when they've got that USA across the jersey.
And, Mark, some people, when they get into a sport like soccer, they sample and they watch, but then some people dive all in like me. And I have to say it, Mark, I went and got my bachelor's degree in soccer. I don't have my master's or my PhD yet, but I have my degree in soccer.
I graduated from kindergarten.
Well, that's why I'm here. I broke it down for you a little bit.
I loved
it. Tomorrow against Germany, obviously one of the top teams in the world. First of all, we got to get off to a better start. We cannot let our defense get penetrated the way it got penetrated. Our midfield, we've got to do a better job possessing the ball. Portugal got an early opportunity, and really, even though Dempsey scored early in the first game against Ghana, defensively we were still allowing too many shots. We got to be more consistent, or the U.S. will be down 2-0 within the first 30 minutes. And then obviously, I don't think you see yourself coming back against the Germany. So I'm looking at you, Michael Bradley. You got to help Clint Dempsey out. We know Altidore is still out, so Dempsey's our only big-time forward. So Bradley's going to have to do some scoring. We saw Jones help out too. So we got to see more aggression on offense early and better defense early. Can't get behind against the Germans. Can't do it, Mark.
Can't mess up with these schnitzels, or else we're in trouble. The U.S. has got to come out and play well. We'll examine here in a little bit what the U.S. has to do to make it through. We'll look at the tie-break scenarios. Man, there's a lot of stuff that can happen. It still looks like every team in the group of death can make it through to the round of 16.
Right.
Germany's in really, really good shape. I don't know that they can't make it. Is that right? It's Germany and somebody else?
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're passed through or not, but I know everybody's still alive.
Everybody is still alive.
Even Portugal's hanging on by a thread. Portugal should be on their way home because the United States should have sent them there, but they got the equalizing goal. That's their match with Ghana is going to be interesting, Mark. We're going to look at the scenarios, but obviously the goal differential could be a factor. Should the United States lose against Germany, then they're going to need a goal differential to stay ahead of the winner of Ghana and Portugal. Obviously, the loser of that game is going home, Ghana or Portugal. Whoever loses that match will go home. But if it's a draw or the winner, if the differential is higher than the U.S., then the Americans could be squares out. And it'd be really tough because it's been a good World Cup for the United States. We've talked about how they're not a world power when it comes to soccer. They're a good team as far as the position in the world, but not a great team. And to come out with a victory and then a near victory that ended up in a draw, you haven't lost yet in 2 World Cup games. You'd like to see it continue.
Yeah, U.S. has got its work cut out for them, but we'll look at the scenarios here in just a little bit as to what the U.S. has to do to make it through. Messi just scored a goal. Got me all out of whack here because I just saw that 4 minutes into the game, or I guess it's 4 minutes into the game. It's just changed on me. 5 minutes into the game. Good Lord, both teams have already scored. Nigeria and Argentina just scored. Messi just scored on a rebound, that somebody on Twitter said. So, man, 2 goals in less than 5 minutes. That's soccer right there. That's some good stuff.
That's your kind of soccer
That's
right
basketball
there.
on grass.
Yeah.
That's what I like.
Yeah. Well, Argentina's my pick, Mark, and I told you I was a little bit concerned about them. They cannot afford to be Messi or bust. They've got to have some other action going on from their forwards. They've got to do a better job, being more consistent. It's not about Messi exclusively. If it is a one-man show, then my pick won't happen. Your German squad, more of a well-oiled group. I would favor them right now. So, the Argentines, they need to get it together because it can't just be about Messi.
Like me and who else? Who was it? Yeah, it was what's his name? Oh gosh. I'll have it for you later. It's Will Ferrell's character in Step Brothers. I'm drawing a blank. What's his name? Brennan. As Brennan and I both said, Sprechen Sie Germany. We're winning the World Cup. I'm calling it. Yeah, Sprechen Sie beatdown. I think we're gonna put it on them tomorrow. Germany's still gonna make it through, and the U.S. is gonna make it through. And unless the U.S. wins it, I'm picking for Germany. Obviously, I hope that the U.S. wins it and just dominates everyone. Josie Altidore comes back he's not going to play tomorrow, but maybe he'll come back from that hammy pull and will be able to contribute to a championship win for the United States, who nobody in the world, including their coach, thought they could win, although I think he was playing a little possum. We'll talk some more FIFA World Cup later on. Let's start real quickly with local because we've got some NBA stuff. The draft tomorrow. LeBron opts out of his contract. All the other big three are going to opt out as well. Carmelo Anthony opts out. We'll talk about those things. But real quickly, need to pass along some local information. Got some coaching news. I don't know if it's come across as official yet, but I was told last night by someone who knows things that Hector has found its new high school basketball coach. It's Noah Shagnon from former Arkansas Tech student and coach, moved on to Waldron as an assistant, and he's going to be the new head coach at Hector. I hope that doesn't screw anything up. I hope that's come through the...
You just broke it, Mark.
We've already seen that happen before where I start letting things out of the bag before they go before the school board, but... It happened just like we said it was going to at Clarksville in football. So, and speaking of football, we talked about the head coach before, Eli Craner of the high school. They've got junior high coaches that are in place now. Eli hired a defensive coordinator, a guy who played safety for them in Europe, who's now their defensive coordinator. And so he's got everything sort of set up the way he likes it. And now in the junior high, former assistant Lance Fetters is now the head coach. Congratulations, a good friend of mine. Now the head coach of the junior high team. And Shane Jackson is his assistant coach and defensive coordinator. A huge congratulations to Lance and welcome to Shane as junior high coach there at Clarksville, and then to Noah Shagnon for being the head coach of the Hector boys basketball team. They've got some good players coming up. They're always good there in Hector. I don't know what it is in the water, if it's the chicken or what it is, but not the chicken in the water. I knew you were going there. I said I didn't know if it was the water or the chicken. Now we talked about this a few years back when the kids just seemed to be starting to all be 8'12", and I was just like, what in the world is going on? Yeah, they've got beards in 7th grade. What in the world is going on? And it was the chicken, they said. So I don't know what it is about Hector, but their basketball team's good. Their girls' basketball team's good. Their baseball, softball, football, everything's good at Hector.
Yeah, and this new coach coming over from Waldron, he's going to have a lot to work with, Mark. We talked about with this Hector job, whoever ends up with it, they're going to have a chance to get off to a running start, which is what you want to see. I mean, obviously they're rebuilding jobs at some places, and you do what you have to do, but to take over a program that can win right away is exciting. And then for Clarksville, I mean, they're moving in the right direction. Lord knows we want to see some good football at Clarksville.
Yes, we do.
I mean, it's been a struggle. It hadn't quite been Dover, but it's still been a struggle with Clarksville. So, with the junior high and high school, hopefully they have things in place and they can turn that thing around.
And we'll be telling you more about the results of the AHSCA All-Star games that are going on this week. The Arkansas High School Coaches Association All-Star games are all in Conway. this week on the
Really?
campus of UCA. So, yeah, you could have been at Fayetteville last year, but instead playing at Bud Walton, but instead you get the Ferris Center. Either way, these kids are going to be happy that they're there.
Yeah, the kids are happy, but you got me on it now. I'm sorry. Look.
Go ahead.
Look. I've been to a few of the UC. I've been to a lot of All-Star games. I used to go every year for the whole weekend. And the Conway ones they're just not good. I mean, the facilities, I mean, UCA, they're upgrading, but, the basketball facility, the football stadium, I mean, I think the last time I went to the football one in Conway was, not the last time, one of the times I went was when Matt Jones was playing an All-Star game.
Man.
And it was like sardines being at Estes Stadium there. So I look at it as you could have been in Fayetteville. I know they want to rotate it because, South Arkansas, you're always having to track up the hill. I get that, but, man, is it a drop-off from a facility standpoint when you go to UCA? Sorry, but, nah.
I mean, Division I
What is?
to Division 1A from Fayetteville.
It's a difference.
Or 1AA to Conway. Eventually, they're going to be pretty solid facility-wise, but you could play at Fayetteville or you can play at Conway. I think people would choose Fayetteville. So Either way, those players are going to be happy to have been chosen and to compete against the best in the state, and we'll tell you about how that goes at the end of the week. But let's hit our first break because I want to get into the NBA. I want to look a little bit more at the World Cup, some biting going on. The World Cup, you got some Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield action. Evander Holyfield tweeted, apparently the whole body's open for biting now. We'll talk a little bit about the World Cup, but I want to get to where LeBron's going to go, the craziness that's going to ensue here from this free agency, if LeBron's going to stay, and then also the NBA draft. Plenty of stuff here on the Sports Blitz. Stay with us.
Hi folks, Richard Roberts with Cogswell Motors in Russellville. We've been in business since 1949. A dealership doesn't stay in business that long under the same ownership unless you're doing something right, and that's taking care of customers. We have the largest selection of new Ford, Lincoln, Mazda, and pre-owned vehicles in the River Valley. So if you want the most for your trade, the best interest rate on financing, and the best price on a new or pre-owned automobile, come to Russellville and see us. We're at 1900 East Main, or visit us on the web at cogswellmotors.com.
If you didn't count on KARK4 today this morning,
here's what you missed.
Updated news.
Police continue searching for suspects after a home intrusion overnight.
Developing stories.
There's another piece of presidential history turning up here in Arkansas.
And weather and traffic on the force.
Friday night, Saturday morning will bring us our next chance rain.
Every 10 minutes.
Around the clock.
Making your day easier.
So rise and shine and count on.
Count on.
Count on. KRK4 today.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
Hey, Michael Jordan still with the Wizards. Did you know that? Did you know that Drew Holiday played for the Hornets? I can't function right now. What is my problem?
But you know what? In your defense, though, that whole situation, Hornets, Bobcats, Pelicans, Charlotte, New Orleans, I mean, it's all jumbled. That's
I know these things. My brain is crazy today.
That's
because I'm thinking about soccer. That's my problem.
But that situation almost as jumbled as the Cleveland Browns, Baltimore Colts, Baltimore Ravens.
That is a big
jumbled.
Yeah, there are still people who are messed up by that. And of course, we were a little young for that. So, all right. Yeah, let's look at the NBA, and I guess the biggest news coming out of the NBA, I guess, there's no guessing to it. We talked Monday about Carmelo Anthony opting out of his deal. We knew LeBron James was going to opt out. It's not a surprise because he and Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade, if they all stayed, they take up the entire salary cap. They can't get any pieces to compete. They just go into next season essentially the same way they did this year with no Shane Battier and a year older, and the Spurs staying together as is, and they're not going to be able to win it. They know that. So Dwayne Wade getting a year older, so they have to opt out. They have to take less money, and LeBron James has decided he's going to opt out of the final year of his 2 years of his contract, and he's going to test the market. And now everybody thinks that they're going to go after LeBron James. You got the Clippers talking about it. You got the Bulls talking about it. You got everybody talking about pairing LeBron with Carmelo Anthony. Just a whole lot of stuff to sift through.
Yeah, it is. One point that I want to make when it comes to this free agency stuff, and Brian Windhorst said it yesterday. I agree with him completely. When you look right now where we're at, and you look at the teams and the landscape of where LeBron might land, understand that it's going to change. Understand that if we sit here and say, well, we can't find LeBron a roster right now. We can't find a team that has the talent and cap space to get it done. But keep in mind, around this time last 4 years ago, I should say, Miami didn't look like it could be the place. They still had a Beasley under contract. They still had some other guys under contract. They knew Wade was going to re-sign, so that wasn't a big deal. So it was like, yeah, they may get Chris Bosh, one other type max player, but that's probably going to be it. But, a week later, they trade Daquan Cook, they trade Michael Beasley, cap room, and then D Wade and Chris Bosh already in place. Boom, Miami becomes a viable candidate, whereas, maybe a week before the decision, they didn't even look like an option for Miami. So I'm just saying that to keep this in mind. Even though we look around and we just see the Clippers, we just see the Bulls, some people were saying the Rockets, even though we just see those few teams, it would not surprise me if really quickly a team made some trades and got rid of some people. All of a sudden, boom, they cleared cap room and they set themselves up. So just keep in mind how these things can change quickly.
Speaking of changing quickly, I hadn't heard of this until just now. ESPN.com's talking about how the Heat are trying to move up in the draft to get Shabazz Napier as a point guard. I wondered why, because I think Shabazz Napier is okay. He's going to be all right. He's got Kemba Walker-esque upside as far as what he can be, and we're talking about two guys from UConn, two guys who will play very similar to one another. Shabazz Napier is a point guard. LeBron, the reason that they're doing this, though, is because during the NBA or during the NCAA tournament, LeBron tweeted something about how you don't take a point guard before you take Shabazz Napier. Yeah. That everybody knows that the Heat have to improve at point guard because Mario Chalmers sucked. He sucked something awful. And Norris Cole, I like Norris Cole, but the talk is that they have the 26th pick and Norris Cole to offer for that draft pick to go up and get Shabazz Napier. My question then is Shabazz Napier better than Norris Cole?
That's a good question. Look, I think he could be. Shabazz Napier is more of the guy as far as being a point guard who's used to being the center of attention, used to running stuff, used to being the guy. I know Norris Cole was at Cleveland State. He was the guy. But I would say, I can see Shabazz Napier being more of a big deal on the NBA level. He's kind of built for the stage. But that being said, I'm still not convinced that addresses a home run need, because defensively, Shabazz gets after you. He's quick. He can steal the ball from him. I'm not saying he's a bad defender, but I'm thinking about it, his size, Russell Westbrook, and guards of that size, Derrick Rose, if he's healthy, his size, even, the smaller guys like Chris Paul. And defensively, it's a challenge. I do think Shabazz can shoot the ball, which is why he's probably the best shooting point guard in this draft, because I think he can shoot better than Ennis. I think he can shoot better than Marcus Smart. Even though I like Elfrid Payton, Shabazz can shoot better than him. I don't know. It depends on what they have to give up. They could stay right where they're at, I believe, and get a Jordan Clarkson who defensively, day one, he's going to be the guy for your defensive at the point guard position. His shooting is an issue, so that may cool him off. But the dude's a 6'6" point guard, and he'll be there without having to give up a lot. So that'll be an interesting situation to watch.
And yeah, you can go to ESPN.com's NBA page, and it's like sources. I mean, like 7 stories there, 8 stories where they're talking about what sources are saying about what's going on in free agency right now. The talk is LeBron James. The talk is Carmelo Anthony. We'll get back to LeBron here in just a minute, but Carmelo Anthony, one of 2 things is going to happen. Either Carmelo and LeBron are going to play on the same team, or they're both going to go to different places, or LeBron will stay in Miami. And there are teams all over the league that are trying to maneuver to make the best pitch. I mean, really, if you think about it, both of these guys have job offers from everybody in the league, and they're trying to put the best offer together for them. This is the team you're going to have. This is what we can offer you financially. This is what we can offer you as the market. The Clippers and the Lakers, both interested in some semblance of those guys. I heard something yesterday about the Lakers getting Carmelo and LeBron with Kobe. And I tweeted, and I'm only half-heartedly joking that if that happens, somebody find me and shoot me in the face. Because if LeBron James is playing on the same team as Kobe Bryant and Carmelo Anthony, I don't know that I want to pay attention to basketball anymore. And Jason and Brad would be laughing their heads off, and I would just have to sit there. I don't know if I could handle that. But the Clippers also making the move, so it's just
you and Brad could get matching sweatshirts, Laker sweatshirts. Y'all be kind of together, Yay, Laker fans. You and Brad Caldwell. So I mean, look, Kobe Bryant is a guy who I can't see any established superstar wanting to go play with him right now. You may be a younger star. Obviously, somebody, if they get a budding player at number 7, or if a younger player were to come up, but anybody who doesn't view Kobe Bryant as their superior, I don't think would play with. I don't think LeBron or Carmelo, the guys who have established themselves as big-time players in the league, they're not going to go play with the Kobe Bryant, because when you put on that Laker uniform, as long as number 24 is on it, it's his team. I don't care if he is the second best player on the team, whatever the case may be. You're on that Laker team, when he's on there, it's his team. And I'm sorry, I just don't see that flying, because we know obviously LeBron's a better player. So, but when you look at this, look at 4 years ago, Mark, with LeBron, the last domino, all the dominoes fell, and then he kind of saw where the dust settled and then made his decision. And I think you're going to see something similar, as far as I would be surprised if he were the first to go somewhere and then wait for people to come join him. Because if nobody shows
he'll
up,
know it's all coming together. He won't go.
Yeah. So, the deal with Carmelo Anthony and them playing together, it's not a great fit, just because who's going to be you got to have a rim protector. So LeBron's going to need to play the 4. One of them's got to play the 4. One's got to play 3. The issue with that is, I think they're both at their best when they're playing more of a power forward position, just because you can get a shooter on the floor with them. I don't think either of them offensively are as comfortable as small forwards, even though that's what they came in the league as. Their games have evolved to where they like an extra shooter around them. They like to play, that small power forward type. But you got to have a rim protector to play on the backside of them.
Speaking of that very conversation, the Clippers, they did something we thought was sort of humorous. They're going after LeBron. They're going after Carmelo. They say Blake Griffin is, quote, untouchable, even when considering LeBron James. That's hilarious. I would give Blake Griffin every day of every week for LeBron James in any scenario you want to put together. I don't care how much younger he is than LeBron James. I care about how much better LeBron James is than him for the foreseeable future. Blake Griffin, I would give him and keep DeAndre Jordan if I could get LeBron James, just so that, like you said, you got a rim protector, you got somebody who can stay on the back end and keep LeBron out of having to guard in the paint and necessarily be the guy back there. If you've got, I don't see how it's possible to put Carmelo Anthony, Chris Paul, LeBron James, and Blake Griffin on the same team.
Impossible.
Yeah, I mean,
Impossible.
Financially, they'd have to take huge pay cuts, and just the fact that there's only one basketball, that would be a problem. The crowding of the lane, that would be a problem. I just see too many issues for that. So.
From a basketball, financially, you're right. I mean, that nips in the bud. From a basketball standpoint, it just makes no sense at all. I mean, you're talking about, look at what you have to go through. You're going to have to go through a Dwight Howard who's in the West. Obviously, Tim Duncan's still there, with Tiago. They've got some size as far as their front court. Serge Ibaka, I mean, they've got size with Oklahoma City. So you're going to have to deal with too much size. LaMarcus Aldridge in the Western Conference to be able to, because Blake Griffin's going to be your center. I mean, that's really what you're trying to say with that lineup. And again, when I think about LeBron James and even a Carmelo Anthony, I always think about shooting. I got to have some shooting to go with them. If you have, Blake can't shoot. LeBron, he's a streak shooter. Carmelo's a little better, but he's not a pure shooter. Chris Paul is a decent three-point shooter, but that's 4 guys right there that none of them are knocked down pure shooters. And so that 5th guy better be one. And even so, that's not spreading the floor the way Miami's done with 3 or 4 shooters on the floor. So, yeah, I can't see that happening.
So I want to see, who do you have? Your thoughts. Who do you have as the top 3 destinations, most in order of likelihood and fit for LeBron James right now? If you just had to come off the top of your head.
Yeah, right now I would have to say Miami.
Yeah, number one. I agree.
Yeah, Miami's number one just because. Look, obviously it's Dwayne Wade. We agree with that. Dwayne Wade, he has to opt out. If he opts in, then Miami is not a good option at that point. So assuming he opts out, they're number one. Plus, LeBron cares about organizations. He's actually won with Miami. He's tangibly seen it happen. And Pat Riley's one of the best in the business. Then after that, I think it opens up a little bit. The Cleveland Dan Gilbert thing is hard to get over, but from a roster standpoint, if they make a decision, that trade with Utah, we can talk about. If they were to do something like that, they would be the best team in the East, no question about it, if they made that deal and had LeBron. But too many things have to happen. With the Chicago, you need somebody to come with you. You're going to need a Carmelo because you don't know about Derrick Rose.
You just assume he's going to get hurt the first game of the year.
And so if you go to Chicago, we know they're offensively inept anyway. Even with Derrick Rose, they struggled to score. Now you're going to be there kind of by yourself again. The pressure in Chicago, obviously we know the statue that sits outside of there, and you don't have a lot of help on your team. That's not a good scenario either. So I would probably rank them Miami. Secondly, you know what? I'm just going to get crazy. I'm going to throw Houston second, and then I'm going to go Cleveland third.
See, I heard the conversation yesterday about Houston. If they got LeBron James, they would have perhaps the best player in the league at 3 different positions. James Harden at the 2. Okay, I could see him being in the conversation. Dwight Howard's the best center. LeBron James is the best small, or just pretty much whatever he wants to be. But I would put him at small forward. You would have a Patrick Beverly. You could keep Omer Sheik. Or I would get rid of him and Jeremy Lin just to make some room. And then keep a Chandler Parsons and something like that. And I could see that on paper. He has no ties to the market. Houston's the 4th largest city in the country, but he has no ties to that market. He has no ties to any of those guys on that team. He's a friend of Carmelo Anthony, so I could see him playing with him before playing with those 2 guys. Cleveland, a lot of talk about. I saw Ryan Russillo from SVP and Russillo with ESPN. He tweeted yesterday that the conversation about LeBron James not wanting to go back to Cleveland because of Dan Gilbert is null. It's out. He doesn't. He doesn't worry about it. That's just what his sources are telling him. Okay. That, to me, there is no way, if I'm LeBron James, that I can go back to that jersey burning city of people who are ingrateful for what I did for them, and that owner who we're gonna win a title before the self-proclaimed king wins a title. Man, forget you.
That is hard.
I would. No way I would ever play for that guy ever again. Doesn't matter what he puts around me, but Cleveland can put together a pretty decent squad around him really quickly if they're interested in doing so. So
yeah, and I think one thing about it with Cleveland, what kind of shoots them up the list, and I agree with, and I would feel the same way that you feel. But one thing for Cleveland is they're in the East, and you have to wonder how much does that matter to LeBron. I think it has to be a factor, maybe not a high degree, but at some point you have to consider what it would take to get out of the Western Conference. I mean, it's daunting. The fact that you can go through the East and really play 1.5 tough series. You may get something in the second round, but no more than 5 or 6. And obviously the Eastern Conference Finals would be a challenge, but it's a struggle from day one. The first round, ask the San Antonio Spurs. They were one game from being eliminated in the first round, and they were the number 1 seed. And so I think that going to the West, the Clippers are there. They have some weapons. Houston's out there. But, again, you have to navigate not just through one of the Western Conference teams. You have to get through Oklahoma City, San Antonio, the Clippers, Houston, Golden State. I mean, that's a lot to do just to get to the finals, and I wonder how much that's going to weigh on LeBron.
I'm sure if he had the right squad around him, he wouldn't care because it seems to me that the Western Conference this year, that was the playoff. That was what you – and then you got to the finals, and San Antonio handled Miami in 5. It seemed like their tougher series. They had a 7-game series in the first round. So they had a much tougher time of it through their playoffs, and if he felt like he could win the NBA championship by winning the West, then I think he'd be all right with that. My question is, how much longer does LeBron have at this level? That's going to be a telling. In the next couple of years, you're going to find out. I hope it's more than 2 years. Crap, he's 29 years old. Modern, science and modern technology helping him to take better care of his body, and obviously he's been in it since he was 18.
Right.
It's gonna help hopefully elongate his career, and he'll be able to play till 35 or so, which is 4, 5, 6 more years.
Yeah, and I think it's more about changing this. There's no question the freak is on his way out the door, the freak LeBron. And so then it becomes, what do you look like in the post? What do you look like in the mid-range? What do
How
you look like?
effective are you?
Yeah, jump shot-wise. He can still, numbers-wise, do what he needs to do. I mean, you're going to tell me 98 Michael Jordan looked like, 91 Michael Jordan? They didn't even look the same. But again,
he was still the best player.
Effectiveness, is still there. So I look for that from LeBron, to still be effective, still be the best, but just in a different way.
Yeah, I'm expecting the same thing. He'll follow the career arc of guys like Michael and Kobe who changed their game to get the most out of themselves.
And think about Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson came back in '96 and played power forward and averaged a double-double for the Lakers. So
he's a baller.
I mean,
the greats do make those changes, and they do what they have to do. I said do. They do what they have to do to make themselves viable for the long term and to make themselves as effective as they possibly can. So we'll see how much LeBron has left in the tank. Maybe he'll stay along for 5 or 6 more years. I just have a feeling that this is going to be the last big contract and last really, really big decision that he makes as far as his career and being the best player. He's shaking everything up. Yeah. He's changing the entire draft. He's changing everything about free agency by the fact that I heard Brian Windhorst on ESPN yesterday talking about how it sent shockwaves through the league. Yeah. How when he made that decision, I'm going to opt out, and everybody knew it was coming, that everybody starts shaking things up. Well, can we get him? What can we do? How do we do it? What do we need to do in the draft? We're going to talk about the NBA draft right after this break. We're going to look at who we think is going to go number 1, who we think should go number 1, and sort of the ramifications of who drafts who moves in and out of draft picks. Apparently, Shabazz Napier is going to have an impact on this draft. I never would have thought that for LeBron James. How does LeBron impact the draft? Plenty of stuff left on the Sports Blitz. Stay with us.
Hi folks, Richard Roberts with Cogswell Motors in Russellville. We've been in business since 1949. A dealership doesn't stay in business that long under the same ownership unless you're doing something right, and that's taking care of customers. We have the largest selection of new Ford, Lincoln, Mazda, and pre-owned vehicles in the River Valley. So if you want the most for your trade, the best interest rate on financing, and the best price on a new or pre-owned automobile, come to Russellville and see us. We're at 1900 East Main, or visit us on the web at cogswellmotors.com.
If you didn't count on KARK4 today this morning,
here's what you missed.
Updated news.
Police continue searching for suspects after a home intrusion overnight.
Developing stories.
It's another piece of presidential history turning up here in Arkansas.
And weather and traffic on the 4s.
Friday night, Saturday morning will bring us our next chance of rain.
Every 10 minutes.
Around the clock.
Making your day easier.
So rise and shine and count on.
Count on.
Count on. KARK4 today.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
All right, so who's the #1 pick in the NBA draft? I'll just go ahead and tell you. It's going to be Andrew Wiggins, because I don't know if you heard this the other day. Jabari Parker went into his draft workout with the Cleveland Cavaliers, and apparently he just tanked it. He just didn't try in the workout. They said he looked winded early. 255 with 11% body fat, which he's probably 15 pounds heavy, maybe, from where he should be to be effective at his position, which it's the summer. I don't expect him to be in perfect condition. 11% body fat didn't sound terrible to me. I don't know where he is, but Jabari Parker, now Yahoo Sports is tweeting that he believes he'll go #2 to the Bucks, and there's mutual interest. He hasn't received similar vibe from the Cavs. I wonder why. Because you show up to the workout fat and don't act like you care. Wiggins is going #1 for two reasons. Well, one, I think that he's got the higher upside. I don't think Jabari Parker is most NBA ready. I was talking to somebody last night, and I totally agree. He can come in and average 20. He can be a guy, but he's a small forward. And my reason #2 is they're going after LeBron James, who's a small forward.
Your 2 points are astute, but I'm not sure I can go with them. Here's why. Well, then one of them is just kind of what I've heard. You've heard things and I've heard things. If Jabari Parker, if he's overweight and not wanting to go to Cleveland, first of all, I don't understand why you want to go to Cleveland. Would you rather go to Milwaukee?
That's exactly what he wants.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, is it really so much better? Who sits there and says, I just really want to get myself to Milwaukee? It's not like the Lakers or the Heat or the Knicks or one of those big time cities that's sitting there at #2. But you want to tank. For one thing, with Jabari Parker is the Cleveland people, the only reason they're really liking him and where they may force the pick is because they really value his shooting. Like they said, that's a big deal for them. They really want some shooting, and Andrew Wiggins isn't the guy for that. Another thing is, I think there's a chance they may get really conservative. I think Anthony Bennett may make them gun shy, and I think that Jabari Parker's a more conservative pick. And this is just my personal preference. If I'm a team, maybe Miami, but other than Miami, I assume LeBron James is not coming to my team.
That's true.
You look at Chicago last year. Oh, nobody took our money. Boozer here, take it, please. Take our money. The Knicks came out okay. They got Amari, but they weren't able to get much else that year. Look, LeBron, you can still keep the money available, but as far as building my roster, I couldn't have the mindset of, can't get this guy. I may like him, but LeBron James has come. Because I still say, if I had to put the percentages, I don't want to make this a LeBron discussion again, but I would say Miami Miami about 80%. I would give somebody else maybe 10%, and another group about 10% at the most. And in Cleveland, that's 10 at the most. I would assume I'm not getting them because I don't believe they are. So if I were going to say, let me get Jabari Parker, oh, wait, never mind, we're going to get LeBron, I couldn't go with that reason. Plus, I think Jabari can be a power forward in the NBA. I mean, he might just eat his way to the 4 spot. I mean, he's 6'9".
Not Boris Diaw himself there, huh?
Yeah, Boris Diaw came in as a point guard in 03, and now he's like, Mr. I don't know what he is, French pastry down there on the low block. But yeah, so I think it's up in the air. I don't know what Cleveland. Are you saying that's the report you're hearing? Or you're just giving your opinion
about Cleveland going with
Wiggins.
Wiggins. Well, I mean, it's sort of reading between the lines of reports, but it's sort of my opinion because I think, if I'm Cleveland, everything has lined up for let's try to get LeBron back. It's home. His wife's tweeting about home, sweet home in Akron. I mean, you go for it if you're Cleveland. If it's me, I wouldn't take it. The draft is tomorrow, and LeBron just opted out yesterday without knowing anything about Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh's decisions. You put the best roster together to get LeBron James if you're Cleveland, but you don't want to hang yourself out to dry like you said. And I don't think if you drafted Joel Embiid, you'd be hanging yourself out to dry because then you have no idea what you're getting.
Right.
I mean, Andrew Wiggins is a really good player, and he'd fit the roster with all those Canadians. And I think Jabari Parker is a safer pick. I do agree with you on that. But I think if I'm Cleveland, I'm taking Andrew Wiggins, and I'm saying, hey, look, we've got the guy with the highest upside in the draft. We've got a point guard we think is eventually going to be the best one in the league. We've got guys who, Anthony Bennett, he's got some upside. We can move him if you want us to, LeBron. We'll do whatever you want. But come on, here's the roster. Here's what we're going to do in the future. Please forgive me. My name's Dan Gilbert, and I love you. That's what I do if I'm Cleveland. You got to put all your eggs in that basket if you're Cleveland. But
here's the thing. Like, I don't think if they were to take Andrew Wiggins and LeBron didn't come, I don't think it would destroy. Or if they took Andrew Wiggins, I don't think it would destroy their basketball team if they had Wiggins and they say, "Oh, we thought we were going to get LeBron. We're not going to get him. We're a lost cause." So yeah, I don't think it would kill them. But I also look at the fact that there's another side to this too. Even if LeBron James is out of the picture, Cleveland wants to look viable now. Not for LeBron James. It's this other dude they have on their team that they need to be trying to impress. True. And I think for them to try to make the playoffs and try to put the best team together that fits well for this upcoming year, even if they were not to get a LeBron James, I think it's something else they have to consider. Can we put a team with Kyrie and with all the other pieces we have, Waiters and this draft pick and Tristan, all these guys, we need to look like a playoff team because we can't have Kyrie seeing us again as a non-playoff team. So that's a factor to it too. But I agree. I don't think if they made a LeBron-type draft pick as far as getting LeBron and it didn't happen, I don't think it would cripple them. But I do think they would want to do something to at least make Kyrie Irving happy.
This is how I would do it if I'm Cleveland. I send a message to LeBron James' representation, LeBron James, and I say, hey, do we have a shot? Mm-hmm. If we have a shot, we're going to give you the best that we could possibly get. If you want us to draft Wiggins, that's who we'll draft. If you want us to draft Parker, Embiid, whoever it is, Shabazz Napier, number one, we'll do it. Whatever you want us to do, we'll do it. And then if they say, I don't know, by tomorrow, I'm sending a text to Kyrie Irving saying, what do you want us to do? Because we're going to keep you. If we can't get LeBron, we're going to keep you. So do you want Wiggins? Do you want Parker? What do you want us to do? What do you think? Get his opinion at least and weigh it into your decision. I think at the end of the day, they're going to take Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah, and they very well could. They very well could. I think with LeBron, I think he'd be honest with them too. I don't think. I mean, if he doesn't know, he doesn't know. He's not going to make something up. But I don't think he would intentionally be short with them or be misleading with them or anything like that. I think if they did make that phone call, I think he'd be straight with them. And maybe if you're Cleveland, that's what you need to do just to get some sort of idea. But in the end, if I'm Cleveland and I feel like making a Jabari Parker pick, if I feel like that's what I need to do to build this team without LeBron James, I do it, as opposed to if I feel like Andrew Wiggins is going to really hamstring me, which I don't feel that way. But if they feel that way, then I think you go ahead and make the Parker pick because I'm operating from the assumption that you're not getting LeBron James. I don't think you are. You can try, make the effort, but I don't think he's going to come.
Man, there's going to be a lot of noise about trades, and you're probably going to see some teams move up and move down. Teams like Philadelphia are in interesting positions. The number 3 and number 10, a lot of talk about Joel Embiid sliding in the draft. I find it hard to believe that he'll be there for them at 10. But if I'm them and I can get You're not gonna get Wiggins or Parker, but if I can get a really good player at number 3 and then I could get Embiid at 10, I mean, I'd be dancing for joy. I don't think he's gonna be able to be there. You're gonna see some teams before that really considering taking Joel Embiid, despite all the injury risks and concerns about him because of the intense upside. There are people comparing him, and I don't think it's a fair comparison, to Hakeem Olajuwon. Athletically, as a 5, there hadn't been anybody like him since Hakeem Olajuwon as far as what he might be able to do. It's just so many ifs and buts, man. And Brad always says ifs and buts are candy and nuts. We don't have a Merry Christmas. He just talks about those types of things. It's funny. You'll have to think about it. Think about it.
I don't think I want to.
Man, you guys are going you're going me on me. Golly, I'll just move on from there. Joel Embiid, he's a big prospect.
Yeah.
Good Lord, we'll see how that turns out. Let's hit a break while I'm just completely discombobulated, and we'll turn the page. Obviously, we differ on who we think can go number 1 in the NBA draft, but we're going to see some things take place between here and there, some moving and shaking upon draft day. And we'll look at the World Cup. I guess it's still 1-1.
We got to get my Embiid conversation.
You want some more Embiid talk?
What, you hogged it all?
Okay.
You took all the Embiid conversation.
Well, you can have his Embiid conversation, and then we'll go World Cup. I thought he was done. I'm sorry.
Well, I didn't get to talk about him.
Don't want to steal his time. He's only got a limited amount of time left with this, so he's got. We're gonna make the last couple of shows. Yeah, he's gonna die pretty soon. No, he's moving back to Minnesota. We'll give Weldon his time. Matter of fact, he'll be introing you from break right after this to talk some Joel Embiid.
Hi folks, Richard Roberts with Cogswell Motors in Russellville. You know, we've been in business since 1949. A dealership doesn't stay in business that long under the same ownership unless you're doing something right, and that's taking care of customers. We have the largest selection of new Ford, Lincoln, Mazda, and pre-owned vehicles in the River Valley. So if you want the most for your trade, the best interest rate on financing, and the best price on a new or pre-owned automobile, come to Russellville and see us. We're at 1900 East Main, or visit us on the web at cogswellmotors.com.
If you didn't count on KARK4 today this morning,
Here's what you missed.
updated news,
Police continue searching for suspects after a home intrusion overnight.
developing stories,
There's another piece of presidential history turning up here in Arkansas.
and weather and traffic on the force.
Friday night, Saturday morning will bring us our next chance of rain.
Every 10 minutes.
Around the clock.
Making your day easier.
So rise and shine and count on.
Count on.
KRK4 today.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
Welcome back to the Sports Blitz. Mark Freeman knows where it's at. He knows it's coming over to this direction here. Wrapping it up here and win. It's the last segment. I just noticed that's 11:49. We don't have much time to go here. And we got to get back to the World Cup because because my pick Argentina scoring. It's still all about Messi. I'm not going to complain about the goals.
Two times.
But I want to see the rest of us get involved. Let's go. But we were talking about Joel Embiid before the break. And look, the upside is there, I agree. I think he could average 25 points, 12 rebounds, 12-time All-Star. He can do all that good jazz. I really think he could. Like, for me, though, he just doesn't exist, though. Like, I have to delete him. I really do, because
I love it.
I mean, because look, even though he can do all these things, there's a chance. I'm just wondering if he's brittle. I mean, you think about the Sam Bowie who had multiple surgeries, and then he had a good stretch with Portland for a year, and then he got hurt again. And with Greg Oden, you realize this: Greg Oden had a hand injury while he was at Ohio State. Then we know about the knee. Mark, his knee was healthy his whole time in Miami. His knee was not an issue; it was his back. It was like, what? When did this happen? I'm concerned that Embiid may be brittle, and so I'm looking at this draft board, and as long as there's somebody who I like, then I have to stay away from Embiid. Now, it does get to a point to where you may get into some kind of players and you go ahead and do it. But in this draft class, I'm just seeing too much that I know. And obviously, they may not have the upside that Embiid has, but I know I'm going to get a good young player that can ball out for me. And as much as I hate to say it, I have to delete Joel Embiid. Like, he can't exist to me just because I see these other young players that can help me. Even if Philadelphia, if they get somebody at number 3, and then that makes 10 viable. I think you said that, and I agreed with you the other day. But the more I think about it is, well, what if I could get a Gary Harris or a Rodney Hood or somebody else that I liked? I mean, because I'm operating from the standpoint, Mark, that Joel Embiid just doesn't exist. I mean, and if there's a chance he plays, that's fine. If I thought there was up in the air, then I would go ahead and pull it out. But I'm just assuming he's done. Like, he doesn't exist. It's almost like drafting Fran Vasquez or somebody who never came over from Europe or something.
Okay, well, let's put it this way then. He does exist. Where does he get value in the draft?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. I'm looking at this mock draft right now. It's out of the lottery. He's out.
Really?
He's out of the lottery.
Well, he's not going to make it out of the lottery.
No, this is just me. This is just me. But I think Sacramento he won't get past 8. I mean, but if you think about it, if you're the Lakers, though, you need a super.
Him or Kentucky, Julius Randle.
Oh, and I'm taking Julius Randle all day, because even if you're Kentucky, or the Lakers, you're in the top 10. You're not there very often. Kobe's on his way out. If you whiff on getting a star here, L.A. is going to be a sad place. Now, they'll probably do some backdoor deal, Pau Gasol type trade and get good again real quick, which, Greg Popovich was like, how in the world did they let them pull that trade off? I remember when it happened back in 2008. But yeah, if something like, I think he'll get, 8 pick, no further. But for me, I don't want to go through Greg Oden. And once you have multiple injuries, not even the same type of injury, you've had something else, this happened in a workout, I'm saying you're brittle. I got to get rid of you. I'd probably take you somewhere around 18. That's where I'd have to take you, because you don't exist to me.
18 to the Suns. Man, they could be really good. This is what I think is going to happen. I don't think he's getting past number 4. I don't think that there's anybody in this draft that just jumps out at me and says, okay, take me. I'm going to change the whole look of your franchise for the next 10 years like he could potentially do. If he doesn't, yeah, I mean, it's a bad look on you, Orlando or Utah. I don't know if Boston would take him. I don't know if the Lakers would take him. I think the Lakers, they need a sure thing. And Kobe Bryant, in his twilight years, would rather have a Julius Randle than Joel Embiid. I don't think he's going to be there, but if he is, I think he would slip to 8 to Sacramento or on down. Sacramento, that's an interesting one with DeMarcus Cousins around. The Philadelphia 76ers, I already told you.
Oh, and Rudy Gay,
10.
too, don't forget.
Yeah, the worst contract in the NBA. Charlotte at number 9, who knows? Number 10, if I'm Philadelphia, there's no way that I don't take him number 10. So I don't think he's getting past 10 at the very, very lowest. I think he'll go 4th at the worst. But at the very, very lowest, I'll go with him going to 10 to Philadelphia. And that's saying that somebody doesn't That's saying that somebody doesn't move up in the draft or move down and just change things up all over the place. So, all right, that's the NBA draft. We'll look at that on Friday. We'll tell you what actually did happen. Lots of talk about stuff that we think might happen, and we don't know. So we'll see what happens. Man, the ESPN's site is messing up on the score. It had 2-1 Argentina a minute ago, and now it's trying to say it's 1-1, which I know that's not true. Okay, halftime, Messi has struck again, and Argentina leads Nigeria 2-1 in the World Cup. The U.S. got Germany tomorrow. Big favorite in the group of death, one of the top 10 teams in the world. They were this close. For those of you that weren't paying attention on Sunday, this close, 30 seconds away from beating Portugal. And Ronaldo makes a incredible pass, a layout for a header in to tie the game. And the U.S. ties in what felt like a loss. When they draw with Portugal. Now they've got a chance as they play Germany tomorrow. I think the kickoff is at 11 o'clock. They call it a kickoff? What do they call it in soccer? They're kicking, so kickoff.
Yeah. I told you I didn't have my PhD yet.
I'm in kindergarten, so it's show and tell. I don't know. 11 o'clock tomorrow is the first couple seconds of the game, which will lead to the rest of the game in the World Cup. U.S. versus Germany. U.S. has a couple scenarios. Well, then let's look at what they have to do to make it out. Also, need to look real quickly. Luis Suarez. I don't know if you saw this yesterday, but he took a chunk out of a player there, and FIFA is now investigating. I don't know what they're going to investigate. Look at a picture. You see the big bite marks. You see the video where he goes up and bites the man. I don't know what else there is to see. It's just punishment, deciding whether or not they're going to do something to him after Uruguay beat Italy 1-0 to move on. Well, I think they're both going home. Is that right? I know Italy is.
Yeah, Italy is.
And is Uruguay moving on? Either way, that dude's done.
Yeah, he's going to be done.
So we'll see what happens. U.S., Germany. What does the U.S. have to do to move on into the group, out of the group stage, and what are all the possibilities? I don't know if we can sort through this in time.
Yeah, I had it sheet up, but if they win or draw, they're in. So we know that the losses are where it becomes interesting, because then you're starting to look at the
goal
other
differential.
matchup. Yeah, goal differential. First of all, so if you lose to Germany, you can't get waxed. It can't be 4-0 or 5-0. So which is kind of a cool thing, because in soccer, if a game's like 3-1 with third 20 minutes left, it's over as far as who's winning, but still some incentive to play hard and at least bring it within one. So the United States, if they were to lose, that's the only scenario that could keep them out. If they were to lose, then it does come down to goal differential. Then you look at the winner of Portugal and Ghana, because the loser of that match is out automatically. And then the winner would need a higher goal differential than the United States. And so Portugal really did themselves a disservice by losing 4-0 in their opener to Germany. So even if they win, if they don't win significantly against Ghana, then that's going to really hurt them, especially if the U.S. loses by a goal or so against Germany. So really what you're looking out for is if the U.S. loses, that's when you look at the scenarios. And from that standpoint, you're seeing the goal differential between the winner of Ghana and Portugal.
There we go. We'll see the group stages. I haven't seen the bracket yet to see where the U.S. would end up if they were able to win. But obviously, they want to try to beat Germany. Jurgen Klinsmann is a German. He's got, I think, 6 German Americans on the team. They really want to win this game. They don't want to necessarily draw and just squeak by, but they want to beat Germany. They want to upset them, and they want to make the get out of the group stage and make some noise in what was called the group of death. You've got 2 of the top 10 teams in the world playing in Portugal and Germany, and then the U.S. is just, self-proclaimed, we don't have a chance, as Jurgen Klinsmann said before the World Cup started. And here they go, losing their best player 20 minutes into the game, arguably their best player. Dempsey's probably their best player, but Josie Altidore, another one, right there at the beginning, he's not going to be available, and they can overcome a lot of adversity. It's what America's all about, man. We like an underdog. We like somebody who can overcome adversity. We're paying attention to this World Cup. You're going to have a lot of folks who pay a whole lot of attention to this game. It's going to be very fun.
Well, I know Jurgen wants to win this. Obviously, he was the head coach of the German soccer team. So he's got some extra fuel going on. Obviously, he's one of the better players in the history of German soccer. And so obviously he's going to be really into this. You mentioned the German Americans. You want to show well. And, for the United States, again, I'm not showing off here, but I really think you're going to have to get more out of Michael Bradley. I mean, I'm not trying to sound like I know everything, but I know enough to know Michael Bradley is one of the better players on the team. He can't just sit there and be content in the midfield. He's going to have to be aggressive. I don't know what lineup Coach Klinsmann is going to start, but with the one striker lineup, offensively, it really was hard to get something going early. And then you saw Jermaine Jones and Bradley and those guys get more aggressive. I'll be interested to see. You see, I'm breaking it down. I'm about to throw it to you. I'll be interested to see if he goes with that one striker lineup to start the game, Mark, because Clint Dempsey by himself is not nearly as effective as if they're playing two forwards up top.
So, I mean, are they going to be playing LeBron and on the same team? LeBron and James Harden on the same team? Or are they going to?
This is how you need to picture it. Picture like they had like LeBron or James Harden by himself, like one scorer by himself up there to do all the scoring, and then you had more in your midfield, more on your defense. I think Beasley and those guys defensively have done just enough, but I think you're going to have to need offensively. You're going to need more offensively. I was very disappointed when Portugal threw men forward. That's what they call when the team sails out for a goal, doesn't care about defense. They call them throwing numbers forward. When Portugal threw numbers forward, I was very disappointed on how the United States responded. So if they get in that situation again, I expect a lot better.
You were disappointed you were watching soccer. Hey, I'm going to be honest with you. It's been intriguing to me, and I've been paying a little bit of attention. I saw a couple things the other day that I thought were the most athletic things I've seen in a long time. These dudes, man, when they bicycle kick it, man, I don't care to go land on the back of my head, man. That's pretty freaking awesome. I'll just be honest with you. All right, we'll talk a little bit more about. We're gonna have to do some more sports blitzing. Now we started this show because it was an hour every 2 weeks at Tech. Now we're here Monday, Wednesday, Friday for an hour, so we've got to get through topics pretty quickly. We're gonna have to do a lot more of that on Friday because we've got the NBA draft, we've got U.S. Germany, we've got other World Cups talk. Got lots of stuff. Got
the results. Big Game 3 College World Series tonight. Vanderbilt and Virginia for all the marbles.
Yeah, Vanderbilt won Game 1. Virginia won yesterday, right?
That's right.
So either you're going to have an SEC team or you're going to have the team that knocked Arkansas out.
Yeah.
Either way, Arkansas has to be proud that they got to the regional final against a team in the finals who is very, very good. That tells you that Arkansas had what it took this year to compete for it all. And they took the best team perhaps in the entire league. They beat Vanderbilt this year. They took the best team perhaps in the country to a final game in their regional. So hats off to Dave Van Horn, who's coaching the national team right now. I think Trey Killian started last night, or he's starting tonight in one of those games. So Dave Van Horn, man, you're in good hands up on the University of Arkansas campus. Speaking of that, we ought to show you some pictures on Friday of the new facility, the new indoor track and baseball facility. It's incredible.
Yeah.
It looks nice. So we'll it's the house that Dave Van Horn built. So we'll talk about that and plenty more on Friday. We may have some more information about where LeBron James is going to go. Want you to be a part of the show. You just call us anytime between 11 and noon at 968 News. 968-6397 and be a part of the show. For Weldon and Maddie, even old Dave over here, I'm Mark saying so long. We'll see you at 11 o'clock on Friday at rivervalleyleader.com.